They arrived at dawn, not with sound, with silence. The specific silence of the narrow sea going wrong. The particular quality of water that had been carrying something toward you and had arrived at the point where the carrying was complete and the something was here. 3 shapes on the eastern shore, standing in the specific pre-dawn dark of a morning that had decided to be the worst morning Dragonstone had experienced in 300 years of mornings that had included dragonfire and siege and the particular accumulated weight of a dynasty that had consumed everything it touched. The worst morning, not because of what the 3 shapes were, because of what they were here to do. They were not here to consume Dragonstone. They were not here to build a hive or seed a host or expand the specific patient architecture of something that understood that growth was the first phase. They were here to end something, to be the last, to leave behind a world that contained only one kind of apex, their kind, and nothing else. No hive, no queen, no carved dragon on a volcanic wall, no 2 words in Lyra's handwriting, nothing. The floor of Dragonstone had been shaking since midnight. The 9 remaining soldiers in the war room had spent the darkness between midnight and dawn in the specific condition of people who were waiting for something they could hear coming and could not see yet, and could not stop regardless of whether they saw it. Perrin had not slept. Bran had not moved from the window. Aldrich had been at the tunnel entrance every hour, listening, feeling the volcanic stone vibrate beneath his boots with the specific deep-frequency tremor of something enormous waking from a very long sleep. The Queen was doing something in the tunnels. He could not see what. He could feel the scale of it, and now at dawn the 3 shapes were on the eastern shore, and the floor was still shaking, and the 9 remaining soldiers of the Dragonstone garrison stood in the war room above it all and looked at each other with the specific quality of people who had arrived at the moment that everything before it had been building toward. "Here we go," Perrin said. Nobody disagreed. The 3 shapes moved inland at 600. Aldrich watched them from the eastern tower window, Lyra's window, the one with the view she had loved, the one where the dusk light hit the water in the specific color that had no name. The dawn light hit the water differently, colder, more honest, the specific quality of morning light that showed things as they were, rather than as they appeared at the softer edges of the day. The shapes were visible in it. Clearly, they were not xenomorphs. The relationship was there, the specific biological family resemblance of things that had come from the same origin, the same primordial architecture. But the expression was different, where the xenomorph was elongated, predatory, built for the specific efficiency of individual lethal engagement. These were broader, heavier, built for something that required mass rather than speed. Their carapace was darker than the hive's, not the blue-black of Dragonstone's bioluminescence, but a specific deep absence of color that was not black, so much as the specific quality of something that had absorbed every color it had ever encountered and had kept none of them. 3 of them, moving in a triangle formation, the specific coordinated movement of things that had hunted together for long enough that the coordination was not communication but instinct, each one knowing the other's positions without looking, adjusting without signal, the specific seamless efficiency of a unit that had become a single thing through the accumulated practice of shared purpose. Trackers, Perrin said. He was at Aldrich's shoulder, had been there for the last 10 minutes. What? Aldrich said. The formation, Perrin said. Triangle, 2 wide, a 1 center forward. It is a tracking formation. The center one has the scent. The 2 wide ones contain the target's escape vectors. He paused. They have been tracking the hive. They know exactly where the queen is. Then they know she's below us, Aldrich said. Yes, Perrin said. Which means they know we're above her, Aldrich said. Yes, Perrin said. Do they care? Aldrich said. Perrin looked at the 3 shapes, at the triangle formation, at the specific quality of their movement, the complete absence of interest in anything that was not the target, the specific focused efficiency of something that had arrived at the end of a very long hunt and was not going to be distracted from the ending by anything adjacent to it. No, Perrin said, they don't care. The floor shuddered, strongly. The specific strong shudder of something in the lower levels reaching a threshold. Not the preliminary tremor of something waking, but the specific final tremor of something that had finished waking and was moving. Aldrich, Bran said from the door. He turned. Bran was at the tunnel entrance below the war room. The tunnel, Bran said. Something is coming up. They went. What came up the tunnel was not the queen. It was the hive. Not in the specific form of the changed garrison. The individual hosts. The things that wore human faces. Something else. The hive expressing itself in a different mode. The biological infrastructure of it. The specific organic architecture that the queen had been building in the lower tunnels for 31 days. Extending upward through the castle's stone with the particular patient efficiency of something that had decided the upper levels needed to be part of what it was building. The walls of the tunnel were changing, the volcanic rock being covered, not replaced, covered, the hive's organic material spreading across the stone in the specific layered way of something that was extending rather than consuming, that wanted the stone to remain beneath, because the stone was the foundation, and the hive understood that foundations were not replaced, but built upon. It was beautiful. In the specific way that things were beautiful when they were expressions of a kind of intelligence that was not human and did not have human aesthetic preferences, but had its own, and its own were coherent and consistent, and expressed with the specific wholeness of something that knew exactly what it was doing and was doing it completely. Bran looked at the walls, at the organic material spreading across the volcanic rock, at the specific bioluminescent quality beginning to appear in it, the blue-black light establishing itself in the upper tunnel, the way it had established itself in the lower chamber. It's claiming the castle, Bran said. Yes, Aldrich said. Deliberately, Bran said. While the 3 things approach, she is fortifying. Yes, Aldrich said. Bran looked at the spreading walls, at the light appearing in them, at the specific quality of what the hive was doing, not the consumption that Bran had spent 9 days fearing, the specific different action of something that was preparing a defense rather than expanding an offense. She is going to fight them, Bran said. Yes, Aldrich said. Here, Bran said. In this castle. Yes, Aldrich said. With us in it, Bran said. Yes, Aldrich said. Bran looked at him. At the specific quality of a situation that had just confirmed the worst possible outcome he had been calculating against, and had simultaneously revealed that the worst possible outcome was not the worst possible outcome, that there was a configuration worse than it, and that configuration was arriving on the eastern shore in a triangle formation that did not care about anything adjacent to its target. "The torches," Bran said slowly. "Yes," Aldrich said. "If I had used them last night," Bran said. "If I had burned the lower tunnels." "The three shapes would still have come," Aldrich said. "They were already on the water." "And we would have nothing between us and them," Bran said. "No," Aldrich said. Bran looked at the walls, at the light in them, at the specific spreading beauty of something that was getting ready to protect what it had built. "I was wrong," he said. The words arrived with the specific weight of words said by someone who had spent 60 years in campaigns and had developed a specific relationship with being wrong. The flat acknowledgement of it, the immediate conversion of the acknowledgement into the question of what came next. "Yes," Aldrich said. "What do we do now?" "We figure out," Bran said, "how 9 soldiers help a hive fight 3 things that came across the narrow sea to end it." Aldrich looked at him. At the 60 years, Mahat, the campaign flat face that had been calculating worst possible outcomes all night and had arrived, through the calculating, at the specific place where the calculation ended and the commitment began. "Yes," Aldrich said, "we do." The floor shuddered again. Below them, through the volcanic rock and the organic material spreading across it, the deep geological fire of Dragonstone's foundation was moving. The Queen was moving it. The castle was being prepared. "Perrin," Aldrich said. "Already thinking about it," Perrin said from behind them. "What do 9 soldiers have that a hive doesn't?" Aldrich said. Perrin looked at the tunnel, at the 3 shapes visible through the eastern tower window above them, at the war room with the carved map, at the specific geography of Dragonstone, the volcanic tunnels, the castle above them, the 300 years of Targaryen architecture built by people who understood that this island was a fortress if you knew how to use it. "Knowledge of the castle," Perrin said, "the above-ground architecture, the specific defensive positions that 400 years of garrison history has identified." He paused. "She knows the tunnels. We know the towers." "Together," Aldrich said. "Together," Perrin said. The floor shuddered one final time, and then went still. The Queen was ready. "Tell her," Perrin said to Aldrich. Aldrich looked at the tunnel, at the light in it, at what he was about to do. "Tell her we hold every tower," Perrin said. "Tell her the 3 shapes will not reach her tunnels without coming through us first." Aldrich looked at Perrin, at Bran, at the 7 others behind them, at 9 people who had been holding the line for 9 days and had just decided to hold it in a different direction. "Right," he said. He went to the tunnel entrance. He spoke to the light. "We're with you," he said. "Tell us what you need." The light shifted immediately, the images forming without hesitation, as though the Queen had been waiting for exactly this, as though she had known since she carved the 2 words in the rock that this was where it was always going to arrive. The images showed the towers, the positions, the specific approach vectors the 3 shapes would use, and what needed to be at each one. Aldrich looked at the images, at the strategy, at the specific military intelligence of something that had absorbed 400 soldiers and their knowledge, and was now deploying that knowledge in the defense of the thing it had built. "She's been planning this," Bran said quietly, looking at the images, "since before they arrived on the water." "Yes," Aldrich said. "She knew they were coming," Bran said. "She knew they were always going to come," Aldrich said. "Eventually." He looked at the images, at the positions, at 9 names and 9 towers, at the line they were going to hold. "Assign the towers," he said to Perrin. Perrin assigned them. The 9 moved, each to their position, each to their tower. The specific movement of people who had found the thing worth standing for, and were standing for it without the specific performance of heroism, without speeches, without ceremony, with the flat, committed quality of people who understood that the important things were done rather than announced. They went to their towers. The floor was still beneath their feet. The queen was ready below them. The 3 shapes were at the castle gate. The line was holding. For now, the first shape hit the eastern gate at 0623. Not with tools, not with the specific siege methodology of something that understood walls as obstacles requiring technical solutions, with itself. The specific direct application of mass and force that communicated clearly. Walls are not a concept I recognize as limiting. The gate held for 4 seconds. On the 5th second, it did not hold. The eastern gate of Dragonstone, built by Aegon the Conqueror's architects with the specific defensive philosophy of people who had dragons and therefore understood what it meant to build something that needed to withstand significant force, came apart with the particular sound of 300 years of engineering meeting something that 300 years of engineering had not been designed for. Bran was at the eastern tower. Ninahi had the high position, the specific elevated advantage of someone who had spent 60 years learning. That elevation was the first thing you secured in any defensive configuration. That the high position was worth more than the reinforced position, because the high position made every other position better. He watched the gate come apart. He did not move. He had been given specific instructions by the images the Queen had shown. The specific positioning that the Queen's military intelligence had identified as optimal for the eastern approach. Stay elevated. Do not engage directly. Make noise. Make noise. He had not understood it when Aldrich had relayed it. He understood it now. The shape that had come through the gate paused in the courtyard, looking. The specific quality of something that had arrived at a target location and was orienting, not hunting, not pursuing. The particular quality of something that had tracked something for a very long time and was now in the tracked things territory and was reading the territory. It was reading the castle. It came for the hive, Bran thought. It tracked the hive here. The hive is below. It knows the hive is below. It is reading the above ground for, he understood. It was reading the above ground for the fastest path to the below, the tunnels. It needed to reach the Queen's tunnels, and it was calculating the fastest way to do it. Make noise. He hit his sword against the tower wall. Once, loud. The shape turned, looked at the tower, at the elevated position, at Bran. The specific quality of its attention landing on him, not the warm human quality of attention, Not even the cold intelligence he had seen in the Queen's attention. Something else. The specific, flat, mechanical quality of a threat assessment being completed. Human, non-target, non-threatening. It looked away, back toward the courtyard, back toward the path to the tunnels. Bran hit the wall again, harder. The shape turned back. "Right," Bran said very quietly. "Look at me." He moved, not toward it, along the tower's outer walkway, maintaining the elevated position, moving east along the wall that circled the courtyard. The specific movement of someone who was drawing something rather than engaging it. The shape tracked him, not because he was a threat, because he was moving. And the movement was in a direction that was away from the tunnels. The shape's tracking instinct, the specific deep behavioral pattern of something that had been a hunter for its entire existence. Engaged. It followed, not fast, not committed, the particular half-attention of something that was following a non-target while maintaining awareness of the primary objective. But following, Bran moved along the eastern wall, away from the tunnel entrance, away from the Queen below, toward the specific position that the Queen's images had shown. The place on the eastern wall where the volcanic rock was thinnest, where the geological fire below was closest to the surface, where the specific deep heat of Dragonstone's foundation was nearest to the above-ground world. He reached the position. He stopped. He looked at the shape following him. 20 meters, 15. He looked at the wall beneath his feet, at the specific quality of the rock, the thin volcanic shelf the Queen had shown him, the place where below and above were separated by the minimum available distance. He hit the wall 3 times, the specific rhythm that Aldrich had told him. 3 beats, pause. 3 beats, the signal. Below in the tunnels, in the geological fire that the Queen had been preparing since midnight, the wall responded. Perrin was at the southern tower when the eastern wall opened. He felt it before he saw it. The specific vibration of volcanic rock being displaced from below. The deep geological shudder that was different from the preparatory tremors of midnight. Those had been the sound of something waking. This was the sound of something acting. He looked east. The eastern wall of Dragonstone's courtyard, 300 years of stone built on 10,000 years of volcanic rock, opened. Not collapsed. Opened. The specific, deliberate opening of something that had been designed to open. The hive's organic material visible in the gap. The blue-black light pouring through, the particular controlled quality of a breach that was not a destruction, but a door. A door the Queen had built from below, where Bran was, where the shape was. Perrin watched the shape turn from Bran toward the opening in the wall, toward the light, toward the Queen's light in the breach, toward the specific trap that the Queen had built and Bran had drawn it to. The shape moved toward the breach, fast. The committed speed of something that had found what it was tracking and was no longer splitting its attention between the target and the non-target. It went through the breach, into the blue-black light, into the hive. The wall closed behind it. Perrin stood at the southern tower, looked at the closed wall, at the eastern courtyard, at the specific absence of the first shape. 1, he said. He turned back to the southern approach, where the second shape was at the outer wall. 2 left, he said. He raised his sword. Badly, probably. He had never claimed to be a swordsman. He had claimed to be 60 years old and still standing. The outer wall held. For now, Aldrich was at the main tower, the center position, the specific position the Queen's images had shown for him. Not the most strategically obvious position, but the one she had shown his face beside, the one she had indicated with the particular emphasis of something that was not being strategic but specific. She wanted him here. He did not know why yet. He stood at the main tower's upper level, looking at the courtyard below, at the second shape testing the southern wall where Perrin was, at the third shape, which had not moved from the eastern shore, which was standing on the eastern shore exactly where it had arrived, not approaching, not engaging, watching. "Roland," Aldrich said to no one. Old habit, the specific reflex of a garrison commander reaching for a communication system that did not exist. He had been doing it for 9 days. He had not stopped. He looked at the third shape, at the watching, at the specific quality of the stillness. It was not held back. It was not cautious. It was doing what the most dangerous thing in any formation did. It was waiting for the defensive response to commit, waiting to see where the strength was concentrated, waiting to find the gap. It's the command element, he thought. The other two are the pressure. This one is the decision. He looked at the courtyard, at Perrin on the southern wall, at the second shape testing it, at the eastern wall where the first shape had gone through, at the specific geometry of the engagement, the Queen's tunnel trap taking one, Perrin holding the second, the third watching the response, finding the gap. The gap was going to be the tunnel entrance, the internal tunnel entrance, the one in the main tower's base, the one that accessed the lower levels directly, the one that was not on the outer walls. The third shape was going to come through the castle rather than the walls. It was going to come through the inside. "Perrin!" Aldrich shouted across the courtyard. Perrin looked up. "Hold the southern wall!" Aldrich shouted. "Don't move from it!" "What are you?" Perrin started. "The third one is coming inside," Aldrich shouted. "Don't leave the wall." He turned, went to the tunnel entrance at the main tower's base. The entrance the Queen had shown him in the images, the position she had given him specifically. He stood at it. He looked at the specific geography of the castle above him and the hive below him and the thing approaching the castle's interior from the eastern shore. He understood why she had put him here, not because it was strategic, because of what he was. The third shape, the command element. The decision-maker had been tracking the Queen for longer than the others, had more data, had the specific accumulated intelligence of something that had been hunting across a significant distance for a significant time. It had data on the hive, on the Queen specifically, on the specific biological signature of the host the Queen had built around. Lyra's signature, and the thing that was most similar to Lyra's signature, the thing that would register as closest to the specific human biological profile that the Queen carried inside her, was standing at the tunnel entrance. She put me here, he thought, because the third one is following her trace, and my trace is closest to hers. He looked at the tunnel entrance, at the hive light below, at the above-ground darkness around him. She is using me as a lure, he thought. He thought about Bran, about the specific thing Bran had said. Your grief made you useful. She used it. He thought about the 2 words in the rock. I'm here. He thought about Lyra's handwriting, about the 60 seconds she had held Daenerys's image, about the warmth in the light, about whether a trap built by something that loved you was still a trap. He decided it didn't matter. He stood at the tunnel entrance. He waited. The castle was quiet for 40 seconds. Then the interior door at the main tower's base opened. The third shape came through it, moving with the particular speed of something that had been patient for long enough and had found the signature it was tracking and was done being patient. It saw Aldrich. It slowed, assessing, human, non-target, biological signature proximate to the primary target. Aldrich looked at it, at the command element, at the specific intelligence in it, more concentrated than the others, the particular depth of something that was not just hunting but understanding. "She's below," he said. The shape looked at him. "I know you know," he said, "and I know you know I know." He stepped aside from the tunnel entrance, not away from it, beside it. The shape looked at the entrance, at the blue-black light, at the hive below. It moved toward the entrance. Aldrich let it pass. Then he followed it in. The tunnel was not what the shape expected. Aldrich could see this in the specific quality of its movement, the slowing, the reassessment, the particular adjustment of something that had been operating on data that the reality was contradicting. It had tracked a hive. It had expected a hive. The tunnel was a hive. But the tunnel was also Dragonstone, the organic material spreading across the volcanic rock, the blue-black light in the stone, the specific merging of what the castle had been and what the Queen had made it. Not two things occupying the same space, but one thing that had been both and was becoming a third thing that was neither and was more than both. The shape slowed. Reading it, Aldrich walked behind it, 3 meters back, his sword drawn. Not because his sword was relevant against this thing. He had no illusions about his sword against this thing, but because the carrying of it was the specific human expression of the intention to stand, and the intention mattered even when the sword did not. They went deeper, the tunnel widening, the light strengthening, the specific deep frequency vibration of the geological fire beneath them present in the soles of his boots, active, ready. The chamber entrance. The shape paused at it, looked in, at the vast space, at the carved dragon on the wall, at the Queen standing at the chamber's center, waiting. The shape moved into the chamber. Aldrich moved in behind it, positioned himself at the chamber's edge, the specific position of someone who was present as a witness rather than a participant, who understood that what was about to happen was between the Queen and the thing that had come to end her, and that his role was the role he had been given, to be here, to hold the line, even here. Even now, the Queen and the command element looked at each other in the blue-black light, in the chamber that was Dragonstone's heart, in the space where a 3-headed dragon was carved into volcanic rock by hands that had once been Lyra's hands. The command element moved, the Queen moved, and Aldrich stood at the chamber's edge with his sword and his 9 days and his love for a woman who was still in there somewhere, and watched the most significant engagement he had ever witnessed begin. The fight in the chamber lasted 4 minutes. Aldrich counted them, not because the counting was useful. He had established 9 days ago that counting was what the part of his mind did when the rest of it was fully occupied by something it could not fully process. The counting was the specific cognitive overflow valve of someone whose primary processing was at capacity and needed somewhere to put the excess. The excess was significant. What he was watching exceeded every category his 30 years of military service had produced. The command element was faster than the others, the specific concentrated speed of something that had not expended itself in the approach, that had been conserving while the other two pressed the walls, that arrived at the engagement with everything intact. It moved with the particular fluid violence of something that had been doing this for long enough that the doing had become instinct rather than decision, each motion producing the next with the zero latency efficiency of a body operating at the level below conscious direction. The Queen matched it, not with speed, with something different, the specific quality of something fighting in its own territory, the particular advantage of a being that had spent 31 days building the space it was now fighting in and understood the space completely. Every surface of the chamber was part of her. Every wall, every angle, every specific property of the volcanic rock and the organic material she had spread across it. She used all of it. The bioluminescent light intensified and dimmed in response to her movement. Not random, deliberate, yet the specific strobing quality of something that was using its own illumination as a tactical element. The command element's tracking relied on visual and thermal data. The light disrupted both. The Queen had built the disruption into her home. She had been planning this fight since before the three shapes arrived on the water. Aldrich watched. At 1 minute and 40 seconds, the command element found her left side. The specific gap in her movement, the place where the 12 feet of what she had become met the specific physical reality of having been built around a human being, the slight asymmetry in her architecture that was the trace of Lyra's original form, her left side. The command element exploited it. Contact. The specific sound of it filled the chamber, not the sound of a weapon. The sound of something biological hitting something biological at the specific force of two apex creatures in a committed engagement. The Queen moved with the impact, used it, converted it, but the contact had found the asymmetry, and the asymmetry had cost. She was slower on the left after that. The command element knew it. It pressed. Aldrich gripped his sword. He did not move. He had been told, shown in the Queen's images, to stay at the chamber's edge, to not engage. The Queen's strategy required him here, not there. He stayed. At 2 minutes and 50 seconds, the Queen changed her approach. She stopped moving, completely. The specific stillness of something that had made a decision. The decision not to fight the engagement the command element was winning, but to fight a different engagement entirely. The Queen was still in the blue-black light of her own chamber, and the command element circled her with the particular predatory quality of something that had found the dominant position and was preparing the conclusion. The command element moved to close. The Queen spoke, not to the command element, not with the hive's communication, with her voice. The specific sound of it, not human, not fully, the elongated architecture of what she had become, expressing itself acoustically, but carrying inside it the way her name had carried inside his name when she said it. A word. One word. In a language the command element recognized. Aldrich did not speak that language. He heard the word anyway, not with his ears. with the specific part of him that had been climbing the eastern tower every day for 9 days. The word was stop. The command element stopped, not because it was commanded, because it was confused. The specific behavioral disruption of something encountering an input that did not fit any category in its operational history. A queen did not speak to a hunter. A queen fought or fled. A queen did not stop and produce language and direct the language at the thing that was killing it. It stopped. It assessed. The queen spoke again, longer this time. Aldrich watched the command element receive it, watched the assessment happening in it, the specific quality of something that was very intelligent, encountering something that required the intelligence to be applied in a direction it had not previously applied it. It was listening. The queen was talking to it. Aldrich looked at the chamber, at the carved dragon on the wall, at the 2 words beside it, "I'm here," at the queen, standing still in the blue-black light, speaking to the thing that had come to end her. She is negotiating, he thought. She learned it from Daenerys. At 3 minutes and 10 seconds, the command element attacked again. The negotiation had not worked, or it had worked partially. The specific partial success of an approach that had bought time rather than resolution, that had disrupted the command element's momentum without converting it, that had introduced uncertainty without eliminating the directive. The command element had assessed and had determined that the directive superseded the uncertainty. It came at her fast, faster than before. The left side, the asymmetry, the specific gap that the command element had identified and had been patient enough to return to after the disruption. It hit the asymmetry with everything it had. The queen went down. Not fully, she did not collapse. She was not broken by the single contact. 12 feet of what she had become did not go down from a single hit. But she went to one knee in the specific way that things went to one knee when the load exceeded the capacity to remain fully upright. The particular controlled descent that was not defeat, but was also not victory. One knee, in her own chamber, in the blue-black light. Aldrich moved, not with the sword, with himself. He stepped between the command element and the queen, not strategically, not because the strategy required it, not because she was on one knee in her own chamber, and the thing that had come to end her was moving toward her, and he was standing at the chamber's edge with 9 days and a sword, and the specific human inability to watch the person he loved be ended without putting himself between the ending and the person, even if the person was 12 feet tall, even if the person was not entirely a person anymore. He stood between them. The command element stopped, looked at him. The specific assessment, human, non-target, non-threatening. "I know," Aldrich said. "I know what I am to you." He raised his sword. "It doesn't change where I'm standing," he said. The command element assessed him. 4 seconds. Then it looked at the queen behind him, at the one knee, at the specific biological data it had been tracking. The queen's status, the asymmetry, the damage from the contact. It made a calculation. The human was not a threat. The human was in the way. The human could be moved. It moved toward him. Aldrich did not step back. He stood. The specific flat commitment of someone who had been standing for 9 days and had decided that the standing did not stop here. The command element was 3 meters away. 2. 1. The floor of the chamber opened. Not all of it, the specific section directly beneath the command element. The particular thin volcanic shelf that was the geological fire's closest point to the chamber's surface. The shelf the Queen had been preparing since midnight. The geological trap she had shown him in the images and had not shown him when she would use it, because she had not known when she would use it. She had known what would trigger it. Aldrich standing between her and the end. The command element fell through the floor, into the geological fire below. The shelf closed behind it. The chamber was silent. Aldrich stood in the silence, his sword extended at nothing. He turned. The Queen was still on one knee. The blue-black light was very still. He went to her. Not carefully, directly. The specific direct movement of someone who had stopped managing the distance and was covering it because covering it was what the moment required. He stood before her. She looked at him from one knee, with the specific quality of looking that had been Lyra's. He put his hand on the carapace of her arm, the cold of it. The specific cold of something that was not alive in the way he was alive, and underneath the cold, the warmth. The same warmth he had felt in 4 seconds on the eastern shore. Real. "I know you're here," he said. "I know." The bioluminescent light shifted, softly. The image of Daenerys appeared on the wall, not held this time, released. The specific quality of a grief being set down, not abandoned, set down. The difference between those two things being everything. Then the image faded, and the light was simply light, simply the specific blue-black warmth of Dragonstone's hive heart. And the Queen looked at Aldrich, and the carving on the wall said what it had always said. "I'm here." "I know," Aldrich said again. "I know," Perrin reported at 0700. The second shape had retreated from the southern wall at 0651. The specific retreat that followed the command element's elimination. The particular behavioral disruption of a formation that had lost its decision-maker. Not fled, retreated. The specific controlled withdrawal of something that had lost its coordination and was returning to a default behavior in the absence of direction. It was on the eastern shore. Still, not attacking, not approaching. "What is it doing?" Aldrich asked. Perrin looked at it through the eastern tower window, at the shape on the shore. "Waiting," Perrin said, "for direction that isn't coming." "Will it come back?" Aldrich asked. "Not today," Perrin said. "Today it is lost." He paused. "Tomorrow." "Tomorrow is tomorrow," Aldrich said. "Yes," Perrin said. Bran appeared at the tunnel entrance. He had come up from the lower levels. From the chamber, from the place where the first shape had gone through the wall, and into the hive's trap. He had the specific quality of someone who had seen something in the lower levels and was carrying the seeing. "The first shape," Aldrich said. "Gone," Bran said. "Whatever the hive did to it in the tunnel, it is not coming back." "Good," Aldrich said. Bran looked at him. "The Queen," Bran said. "Her status." "Alive," Aldrich said. "Damaged, recovering." Bran absorbed this. "You stood between her and the command element," Bran said. "Yes," Aldrich said. "With your sword," Bran said. "Yes," Aldrich said. "Against something that—" "Yes," Aldrich said. Bran was quiet. He looked at Aldrich, at the specific quality of someone who had spent 9 days calculating worst possible outcomes and had watched the person standing in front of him stand between those outcomes and the thing they were protecting, with nothing but a sword and a decision. That was Bran said carefully, strategically inadvisable. Yes, Aldrich said. Also, Bran said, and his voice had the quality of someone saying a thing they had not expected to say. The bravest thing I have seen in 60 years of campaigns. The upper level was quiet. Aldrich looked at the 9 faces around him, at the eyes, still human, still his. One shape remaining, he said. On the eastern shore, Perrin says it won't come today. And tomorrow? Mira's voice. He turned. Mira was at the top of the stairs. She was not supposed to be at the top of the stairs. She was supposed to be on the narrow sea. She was supposed to be at Driftmark. She was supposed to be 2 days from King's Landing. She was at the top of the stairs, with the specific quality of someone who had left and come back, and had a reason for the coming back that was more important than the reason for the leaving. And behind her, 3 people he did not know, in traveling clothes, carrying something. Mira, Aldrich said. I got to the eastern shore, she said. I got to the boat. She paused. I found them on the water. They were already coming. He looked at the 3 people behind her, at what they were carrying. Who are they? He said. Mira looked at him. At the specific quality of someone who had a piece of information that was going to change every calculation in the room. They were sent from King's Landing, she said, 2 weeks ago, before we sent any ravens. He stared at her. Someone knew, she said. Someone knew what fell on the eastern shore. Someone knew what it was. She paused. And they sent these 3 with the only thing they could find that had faced it before. What did they send? Aldrich said. She stepped aside. The 3 people came forward, set down what they were carrying on the war room's carved map of Westeros. He looked at it, at what someone in King's Landing had known was coming and had sent across the water, at what was going to change tomorrow, at what was going to make the one remaining shape on the eastern shore the least significant problem they had, because whatever had sent the 3 shapes had sent them as scouts, and what the 3 people from King's Landing had brought told him exactly what came after scouts. He looked at it, at the map, at Dragonstone marked on it, at the narrow sea beyond it. He looked at Mira. How long do we have? He said. She looked at him, at the specific quality of someone delivering the number that reorganized everything. 3 days, she said. The object on the map table was a journal, old. The specific old of something that had been handled by many people over a significant period of time. The cover worn to the particular smoothness of things that had been touched repeatedly. The leather darkened in the specific pattern of hands, gripping the same places across years of gripping. The journal of a master named Harwick, dead 9 years, who had served in a small fortress on the Stepstones for 11 years before that, who had, in those 11 years, written 412 pages of careful documentation about an event that nobody in King's Landing had taken seriously until 23 days ago, when someone in the small council's archives had pulled the journal from a shelf where it had been sitting unread for 9 years, and had read the first page and had kept reading until dawn. One of the 3 people from King's Landing, a young woman named Sarah, who had the specific quality of someone who had been awake for most of the last 3 days and was running on the particular fuel of people who had found something important and could not stop until the important thing was in the right hands. Spread the journal open on the map table. Page 1. In the 31st year of Robert Baratheon's reign, something fell from the sky above the southern stepstones. I was the only Mester within 3 days' ride. I went to investigate. What I found I have documented here. I do not expect to be believed. I am documenting it anyway because things that happen require documentation, regardless of whether the documentation is believed. The truth does not require an audience to remain true. Aldrich looked at Sarah. He found one, Aldrich said, before Dragonstone. He found the remains of one, Sarah said. A hive seed, already hatched, already empty. She paused. The island it landed on had 37 inhabitants when he arrived. He found 4. What happened to the other 33? Perrin said. Sarah looked at him. Page 47, she said. Perrin did not open to page 47. He had seen enough in the last 9 days to fill in page 47 without reading it. The 4 survivors, Aldrich said. What did Harwick learn from them? 3 things, Sarah said. She had clearly read the journal multiple times. The specific quality of someone who had converted another person's careful documentation into immediate operational knowledge. First, the hive seed produces a queen within 30 days of landing. Second, the queen establishes the hive's territory immediately and defends it with everything available. We know this, Bran said. The third thing, Sarah said, you don't know. The war room was quiet. After 30 days, Sarah said, a signal goes out. Harwick documented it, a specific frequency, undetectable by human senses, that the queen produces once the hive is established. A beacon. Calling what? Aldrich said. Calling where? Sarah said. The beacon does not call reinforcements. It calls the source. Whatever sent the hive seed in the first place, whatever ancient thing or dead ship or drifting carrier has been releasing hive seeds across distances that Harwick had no way to measure. The beacon tells it, I have landed. I have established. I am here. The room absorbed this, and the source comes, Perrin said slowly. Yes, Sarah said. Not to help the hive, Aldrich said. Not to reinforce it. He looked at the journal, at page 1, at the 412 pages of careful documentation that nobody had read for 9 years. To collect it, he said. Sarah looked at him, at the specific quality of someone who had arrived at the conclusion before she told him. Yes, she said. To collect the queen, to take her back to the source, to... She paused. Harwick's word for it was harvest. The 3 shapes were not hunters, they were harvesters. The room was very still. The source, Aldrich said, is coming to collect the queen. In 3 days, Sarah said. Based on the beacon's timing and Harwick's documentation of the Stepstones event, the source arrives within 3 days of the harvesters' first contact. The harvesters, Bran said, who we have reduced to 1. Yes, Sarah said. Does that change the source's timeline? Bran said. Sarah opened the journal. Page 214. The source does not adjust for harvest failure. The source arrives on its own schedule. The harvesters are scouts and collectors. The source's arrival is independent of the collection's success. It comes regardless, Perrin said. It comes regardless, Sarah confirmed. Aldrich looked at the map table. At Dragonstone on the eastern coast, at the narrow sea, at the 3 days. What does it look like? He said. The source. Sarah turned to page 308, Harwick's drawing. the specific, careful illustration of a master who had been trained to document accurately rather than artistically. Not beautiful, not dramatic, precise. The shape of what one of the Stepstone survivors had described to him from memory. Aldrich looked at the drawing. The room looked at the drawing. Nobody spoke for a long moment. "That," Mira said finally, with the particular flat quality of someone who had been 22 years old for long enough to have developed a specific relationship with impossible things, "is much larger than 3 shapes." "Yes," Sarah said. "How much larger?" Perrin said. Sarah looked at the drawing. At Harwick's careful scale notation beside it. She told them. The room was quiet. Bran sat down. He had not sat down in 9 days. He sat down now. "Right," he said to the middle distance. "Right." Aldrich went to the tunnel entrance at 1100, alone. He stood at it for a moment. Then he went down. The tunnel was warmer than it had been that morning. The specific warmth of the geological fire that the Queen had been drawing closer to the surface, the heat present in the walls, at a level that had not been there before the command element went through the floor. She had used something significant in that. The geological reserve was not unlimited. He reached the chamber. She was at the carved wall, not looking at him when he entered, looking at the dragon, the 3-headed Targaryen sigil, the specific image she had carved into the volcanic rock of her own heart in the first days of her becoming. He stood beside her, looked at the dragon. "We have a problem," he said. He told her about the journal, about Harwick, about the beacon, about the source, about 3 days. He told her the way he told her everything, directly without the architecture of preamble, the flat delivery that she had responded to from the beginning because the flat delivery was what she could read most accurately, the thing that carried the least interference between the information and the receiving. She listened. The bioluminescent light was very still during the telling. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she turned to the wall, beside the 3-headed dragon, beside the 2 words in Lyra's handwriting. She carved something new. He watched the letters form. "I knew." He looked at the 2 words, at the carving, at her. "You knew the source was coming," he said. She carved again. "Always knew." "Why didn't you?" he started. She carved before he finished. "You weren't ready." He absorbed this. The specific quality of it, the particular intelligence of something that had understood the full picture from the beginning and had revealed it incrementally because the incremental revealing was what the situation required, what the people in the situation required. "And now," he said. She looked at him, the carving tool still in her hand. She carved 4 words. "Now you are ready." He looked at the 4 words, at the specific weight of them, at what they implied, and at what being ready meant in the context of something the size of what Harwick had drawn, arriving in the narrow sea in 3 days. "What do you need from me?" he said. She turned from the wall. She moved to the chamber's center. She spread her arms, not a gesture of surrender, the specific gesture of something showing its full dimensions, the particular movement of a being that was presenting itself completely, so that the person it was presenting itself to could see the full inventory. He looked at her, at 12 feet of what she had become, at the asymmetry on her left side where the command element had found the gap, at the damage from the morning's engagement, at everything the hive had built in 31 days, the tunnels, the chamber, the organic material spreading through the castle's stone, the bioluminescent light in the walls, the geological heat drawn to the surface, at everything she was. She carved one more word, everything. He looked at the word. "You need everything we have," he said. She looked at him, the carving beside her, the three-headed dragon above, the two words, "I'm here." "Then you have it," he said, "all of it." The planning session lasted 6 hours, not in the chamber, in the war room with the carved map, with all 9 of the remaining garrison and the 3 people from King's Landing and Roland's relay device that Aldrich had started keeping on the map table because the habit of reaching for it had become part of his operational thinking, and the habit was more useful than the alternative of acknowledging there was no Roland. The Queen participated through the tunnel entrance, the light from below, the images forming and dissolving in the specific communication they had developed, not language, not signals, something in between that was better than both for the specific purpose of building a plan that required 2 very different kinds of intelligence to be applied to the same problem simultaneously. What they built over 6 hours, the geological reserve, what remained of it after the morning's use, would be held for the source's arrival, not deployed against the remaining harvester on the eastern shore, preserved. The Queen's estimate of what the reserve contained and what the source would require was communicated in images that Sarah cross-referenced against Harwick's documentation with the particular focused intensity of someone doing the most important work of her life. The castle's above-ground architecture, everything Perrin's 60 years and Bran's campaign history knew about Dragonstone's defensive positions mapped onto the Queen's knowledge of the tunnel network below. The specific integration of 2 fighting philosophies, the human defensive architecture of towers and gates and elevated positions, and the hive's subterranean warfare of traps and geological force and bioluminescent disruption together, the thing that neither could do alone. At 1700, Perrin looked at the plan on the map table, at the specific architecture of it. Human strategy and hive strategy merged into something that was neither and was more than both. "This is either," he said, "the most sophisticated defensive plan I have encountered in 60 years. Or," Bran said. Or, Perrin said, "Aye, it is the plan of 9 soldiers and a hive who have run out of better options and have decided that the available options are sufficient." "Which is it?" Mira said. Perrin looked at the map. At the plan, at the tunnel entrance where the blue-black light was present and patient. "Both," he said. "In my experience, those are always the same plan." Aldrich went to the eastern tower at dusk. The ritual, the room, the cloak. He sat on the edge of the bed. He looked at the open book. The history of the Targaryen dynasty, open to the account of Aegon's conquest, the chapter about beginnings. He looked at the window, at the narrow sea, at the specific dusk color on the water that had no name, at the one remaining shape on the eastern shore, standing still, waiting for direction. He looked at it for a long time. Then he looked at the room, at Lyra's things, at the dragon figure on the windowsill, at the book, at the cloak. He picked up the cloak. He held it, the shape of her in the fabric. He thought about 3 days, about the source, about the plan, about everything the Queen had carved on the volcanic wall. I knew, always knew, you weren't ready. Now you are ready. Everything. He thought about the warmth in the light, about the 60 seconds she had held Daenerys's image, about the specific quality of love that survived being consumed, that was so fundamental to the person it belonged to that even the thing that consumed the person could not consume the love. He thought about what that meant, about what it cost, about what it was worth. He folded the cloak carefully, set it on the bed. He looked at the narrow sea one final time, at the dusk, at the color, at the 3 days. Hold on, he thought, not to Lyra this time, to himself. 3 days, hold on. He stood. He walked out of the room. He did not look back. Behind him, through the narrow window, the dusk light continued its specific color on the narrow sea, and somewhere in the deep water, past the eastern shore, past the one remaining shape standing in the dark, past the reach of the bioluminescent light and the geological fire and the carved dragon and the 2 words in the volcanic rock, something was coming, something the size of what Harwick had drawn, something that had been releasing hive seeds across distances that Harwick had no way to measure, something that had received the beacon 31 days after the seed landed on Dragonstone's eastern shore, something that was 3 days away and was getting closer, with the specific patient efficiency of something that had been doing this for longer than Westeros had existed, that had never once been stopped, that did not know what was waiting for it. The second day was the quiet day. This was the specific quality of the day before the significant thing, the particular held quality of time that knew what was coming and was doing the human thing of being ordinary in the face of it. The 9 soldiers maintained their positions. The 3 people from King's Landing, Sarah and the 2 others, whose names were Edwin and Marsh, who had the quiet competence of people who had been chosen for a mission rather than volunteering for one and had decided that the choosing was sufficient reason to be equal to it, cross-referenced Harwick's journal against the Queen's images for the 6th and 7th time. The one remaining shape on the eastern shore did not move. The Queen did not sleep. Aldrich understood over the course of the 2nd day that the Queen did not sleep in the way that he slept, the particular human unconsciousness of a body that required the maintenance of rest. She entered a different state, a partial withdrawal, the specific quality of something that was conserving rather than resting, that was holding everything it had in reserve for the moment the reserve was needed. She was spending the 2nd day becoming as much as she could become before the 3rd day arrived. He visited her twice. The first visit at dawn, the specific ritual of the morning check transferred to the tunnel, the particular habit of someone who had been checking eyes for 9 days and had converted the check into something different now, something that was less about threat assessment and more about the particular human need to be present with the things that mattered. She was in the chamber. She was carving, not words this time, the chamber's walls, expanding the carved dragon, the 3-headed Targaryen sigil that she had put on the volcanic rock in the first days of her becoming. She was making it larger, not the sigil specifically, what the sigil represented, the history. She was carving Dragonstone's history into the walls of her chamber, not accurately. She did not have the master's record, did not have the dynasty's documentation. She had Lyra's memory, the particular intimate knowledge of a woman who had served Daenerys and had loved her, and had spent years learning what Daenerys had loved about this castle and what this castle had meant to the dynasty that had built it. She was carving what Lyra remembered, the specific important things. Aegon's arrival on the eastern shore. I carved in the volcanic rock with the particular abbreviated image language she had developed, not art, not symbol, something between both that was entirely hers. The building of the castle above the tunnels, the 300 years of it, Daenerys. She carved Daenerys not as a sigil and not as an image, but as a presence, the specific accumulation of small details that made a person present in a space even when the person was not. The window in the eastern tower, the view from it, the specific color of the dusk light on the narrow sea. She carved the dusk light with bioluminescent material, blue, black, and warm simultaneously, the specific color that had no name. Aldrich stood in the chamber and watched her carve the dusk light into volcanic rock and felt the thing he always felt in her presence, the specific impossible thing of love and grief occupying the same space simultaneously without either diminishing the other. "It's beautiful," he said. She paused, looked at him. The light in the chamber shifted, soft, warm. He stood in it for a moment. "I'll be back tonight," he said. She returned to the carving. The second visit was at midnight. He brought something. The dragon figure from the windowsill of the eastern tower. The one Daenerys had given Lyra. He had taken it from the windowsill when he left the room the previous evening. Had not planned to take it. Nye had picked it up as he passed because the picking up felt right in the specific way that things felt right when they were not decisions but recognitions. He set it on the chamber floor, before the carved wall, before the history of Dragonstone she had put into the volcanic rock. The queen looked at it, at the small dragon figure. She went very still. The specific stillness of something receiving something it had not expected to receive. She reached out, picked it up, with the specific careful precision of something enormous, handling something small, the particular deliberate delicacy of 12 feet of apex creature holding a figure the size of a fist. She held it the way Lyra had held it. Aldrich knew how Lyra had held it because he had watched her hold it. In the evenings in the eastern tower, looking at the narrow sea, the specific absent quality of someone holding a thing that connected them to something larger than the thing itself. The queen held it exactly that way. She remembers, he thought, not just the image, the feeling of the holding. She looked at the figure for a long time. Then she looked at him. She carved, not on the wall, on the floor, quickly, the particular urgency of something that needed to say something before the moment of the saying closed. When it is over, if it is over, don't stay. He looked at the words. "What?" he said. She carved again. "Take what's left of us. Go." He looked at the words, at the specific weight of them. "What do you mean, what's left?" She carved quickly. "The source will not leave Dragonstone standing. Win or lose, it will end this." He looked at her. "You knew this from the beginning," he said. Always knew. As she had carved 2 days ago, always knew. He looked at the chamber, at the carved history on the walls, at the dusk light she had made permanent in volcanic rock. at the three-headed dragon, at the small figure she was holding. "Then why build all of this?" he said. She looked at the walls, at what she had made. She carved one word: memory. He stared at the word. "You built it to be remembered," he said. She looked at him, the carving tool still in her hand. Because she should be remembered, Aldrich thought, not the queen. Lyra, the woman who had loved Daenerys and had stayed at Dragonstone when everyone else left, and had been taken by the Hive and had loved so completely that the Hive could not consume the love. She should be remembered. He looked at the walls, at the history carved into them, at the dusk light that had no name. "She will be," he said. The chamber was very still. The bioluminescent light was the softest it had ever been. The queen set the dragon figure on the floor in front of the carved wall. At the base of the dusk light, a small object at the foot of everything. Everything that had been built around one woman's love for another woman's memory. "I'll be here," Aldrich said. "Tomorrow, when it comes, I'll be here." She looked at him. She did not carve anything. She did not need to. He went back up to the upper levels, to the 9 faces and the 3 people from King's Landing and the plan on the map table, to the line, to the holding. The 3rd day arrived without announcement. Dawn came through the eastern tower window, through Lyra's window. The one with the view she had loved, with the specific quality of a dawn that knew what it was the dawn of and had decided to be beautiful anyway. The narrow sea was clear. The dusk color was gone. It was dawn now, the other color, the one that was equally without name. The specific quality of water in the first light of a morning that had decided to be honest about what it was carrying. What it was carrying was visible on the horizon, not close, not yet, but present. The size of it, even at the horizon, even at the distance of the horizon, the size. Perrin stood at the window beside Aldrich. He looked at the horizon, at the size. He said nothing for a long moment. "Harwick's drawing," Perrin said. He was conservative. "Yes," Aldrich said. "Significantly conservative," Perrin said. "Yes," Aldrich said. Perrin looked at the horizon. "The plan," Perrin said. "Yes," Aldrich said. "It was built for something the size of Harwick's drawing," Perrin said. "Yes," Aldrich said. "Not for—" Perrin gestured at the horizon. "No," Aldrich said. Perrin was quiet. "Does the queen know?" Perrin said. "She knew from the beginning," Aldrich said. Perrin absorbed this. "And she built the plan anyway," he said. "Yes," Aldrich said. "Why?" Perrin said. Aldrich looked at the horizon, at the size of what was coming, at the specific quality of it, the particular vast patience of something that had been doing this for longer than Westeros had existed, and was arriving at Dragonstone with the complete indifference of something that had never been stopped. He thought about the chamber, about the walls, about the dusk light carved in volcanic rock, about the small dragon figure at the base of everything, about memory, because some fights, Aldrich said, are not about winning. Perrin looked at him. "They are about bearing witness," Aldrich said, "about making sure the thing you are fighting for is recorded, preserved, remembered." He paused. "About the record surviving even when the fighters don't." Perrin looked at the horizon, at the size. "Harwick," he said slowly. "He documented it, on the stepstones. He was the only master within 3 days' ride, and he went and he documented it." "Yes," Aldrich said. "Knowing nobody would believe him," Perrin said. "Yes," Aldrich said. The truth does not require an audience to remain true, Perrin said, quoting page 1 from memory. The specific quality of someone who had read something once and had retained it because the retaining mattered. Yes, Aldrich said. The floor of Dragonstone began to shake below them in the tunnels, in the geological fire that the Queen had been drawing to the surface for 2 days, the reserve being called forward, the specific mobilization of everything that had been held back. The Queen was ready. Positions, Aldrich said. The 9 moved. The 3 from King's Landing moved. Sarah took Harwick's journal and put it inside her traveling clothes, against her chest. The specific, careful placement of someone who understood that the journal was the most important thing in the castle and needed to survive regardless of what happened to the castle. Sarah, Aldrich said. She looked at him. The Eastern Tunnel, he said. The passage below the Eastern Tower. It comes out on the shore below the waterline at low tide. It will be low tide in 4 hours. She looked at him, at the specific quality of what he was saying. You want us to... I want the journal to survive, he said. Whatever happens here, the documentation survives. And you, she said. He looked at the horizon, at the size, at the floor shaking beneath his feet, at the line. I hold, he said. She looked at him, at the 9 soldiers around the map table, at the war room with the carved map of Westeros, at Dragonstone marked on it, at everything this place had been and was about to become. Harwick went to the stepstones, she said, to document it. Yes, Aldrich said. I'm not Harwick, she said. No, Aldrich said. You're better. He went alone. She absorbed this. Then she looked at Edwin and Marsh. They looked at her. She looked at Aldrich. We'll be at the eastern shore, she said, with the journal, when it's over. If it's over, Aldrich said. When, she said, the flat certainty of 20-something years that had decided certainty was more useful than accuracy. He almost smiled. She went. Edwin and Marsh followed. The floor shook harder. Below the castle, below the war room, below the map table and the carved Westeros and Dragonstone on its eastern coast. The Queen was moving. Everything she had built, everything she had preserved, everything she had made from 31 days of becoming, in the volcanic heart of a castle that had been built by fire and was now being defended by it. She was moving all of it forward. Aldrich stood at the war room's head, the 9 around the map table, the floor shaking, the horizon carrying what it carried. 9 days, he said. They looked at him. 9 days we have held this line, he said. Not because we were told to, not because orders required it, because this is Dragonstone and Dragonstone is hers, and we do not abandon the things that are hers. He paused. Today is the same day, different scale, same line. Perrin looked at the horizon. Different scale, he said, with the flat quality of profound understatement. The 9 almost laughed. Almost. Hold the towers, Aldrich said. Whatever comes off that water, hold the towers. Give her the time she needs below. How much time? Bran said. Aldrich looked at the tunnel entrance, at the light below, at the specific blue-black warmth of it, at the dusk light she had carved into volcanic rock so the color would outlast the window. As much as it takes, he said. The floor shook one final time, with the particular finality of something that had finished gathering itself. The Queen was ready. Go, Aldrich said. They went. He stood alone in the war room for one moment. He looked at the map table, at Westeros, at Dragonstone, at the narrow sea beyond it. He thought about Lyra, about the dusklight, about the color that had no name, about 2 words carved in volcanic rock. "I'm here." "I know," he said. "I know you are." He went to his position. The line held. For now, the source arrived at the narrow sea at noon, not at Dragonstone's shore, at the narrow sea itself, the specific deep water between Essos and Westeros, the ancient channel that had been carrying things between the old world and the new for as long as both of them had existed. It stopped there, in the deep water, and waited, not for the harvesters, not for the beacon, not for the queen, for something else, something it had felt from the distance it had been crossing for 3 days, something it had not expected to feel at a harvested location, something that had no name in the specific language of the source, the particular ancient language of something that had been doing what it did for longer than language had existed on this world, but that it recognized. Resistance. Not the resistance of the harvester's failure, the resistance of something that had decided it was not going to move, that had built something in the space it occupied, that was holding. The source felt this. It assessed. In the deep water of the narrow sea, the one remaining shape on the eastern shore felt the source's presence and turned toward the water. The specific orientation of something that had been waiting for direction and had received it. Not a command, a presence. The direction of something that knew where home was and was being shown home. It walked into the narrow sea, into the deep water, and was gone. The source looked at Dragonstone, at the castle, at the volcanic rock, at the geological fire it could sense below. Active in a way it had not been active in 10,000 years, drawn to the surface by something that understood how to draw it. At the hive in the tunnels, at the queen in the heart of it. The source had harvested 47 queens, in 47 different locations, across distances that had no names in the languages of the worlds it had visited. It had never, in 47 queens, across distances without names, in the span of something that had been doing this since before most of the worlds it visited had developed the capacity to name time. It had never had a queen resist. They produced the beacon. They waited. They were collected. This queen had not waited. This queen had fought the harvesters, had killed 2 of the 3, had drawn the geological fire to the surface, had built something in the 31 days, not just the hive, something else, the specific additional architecture of something that had been planning for this arrival since before the harvesters reached the shore. The source considered this, in the deep water, in the narrow sea, with the particular patience of something that had been patient for longer than patience had been a concept on this world. It assessed. Then, slowly, with the particular vast deliberateness of something that was enormous and knew it and moved accordingly, it moved toward Dragonstone. In the eastern tunnel, 30 feet below the waterline, Sarah sat with Harwick's journal in her traveling clothes, Edwin and Marsh beside her, the tunnel around them warm with the Queen's geological fire, the blue-black light in the walls, the specific patient quality of people who were waiting for something to be over so they could document that it was over. Above them, the castle, the 9 soldiers, Aldrich at the war room window, the line, the holding. Sarah opened the journal, past page 412 to the blank pages that followed. She took out the quill she had carried from King's Landing. She began to write, not the ending. She did not know the ending, the beginning. In the 31st year since the death of Daenerys Targaryen, something fell from the sky above the eastern shore of Dragonstone. I was 3 days away when I heard about it. I came as fast as I could. What I found I am documenting here. I do not expect to be believed. She paused. She crossed out the last sentence. She wrote instead, "What I found I am documenting here, because things that happen require documentation, because the truth does not require an audience to remain true, because she should be remembered." Above her, the floor of Dragonstone shook. The source had reached the shallows. Below the castle in the volcanic heart, the queen moved everything she had forward. The 9 towers held. For now, for as long as it took. What nobody on the eastern shore could see. What Sarah could not see in the tunnel. What the source could not see from the narrow sea. What the 9 soldiers in the towers could not see from their elevated positions was the chamber, the specific chamber at the heart of the volcanic tunnels, the vast space, the bioluminescent light, the carved walls, the history, the dusk light in volcanic rock, the 3-headed dragon, the 2 words, and in the center of the chamber, the queen, standing in the blue-black warmth of everything she had made, looking at the carved walls, at the history she had put into the stone, at the dusk light, at Daenerys. She held the small dragon figure, the one Aldrich had brought her. She held it the way Lyra had held it, with the specific absent quality of someone holding a thing that connected them to something larger than the thing itself. She looked at it for a long time. Then she set it down. At the base of the dusk light, at the base of everything, she looked at the carved wall one final time, at the history, at the memory she had made permanent in stone. She raised her hands to the volcanic walls, and she gave the geological fire everything she had left. Everything. The reserve she had been building since midnight of the first night. The specific last resource of a queen who had decided that memory was worth more than survival. That what she had built in 31 days was worth more than the 48 days she might have if she held back. That Lyra would have done the same. The geological fire rose. Above the narrow sea, something the size of what Harwick had drawn, larger than Harwick had drawn, felt the geological fire reach it. And for the first time in 47 queens and distances without names, the source felt something it did not have a category for. The specific experience of something that had always collected and had now encountered a queen that had decided to burn instead. A queen that had decided the memory was worth more than the harvest. The fire reached the source. The narrow sea caught the light of it, the specific color, blue, black, and warm simultaneously. The color that had no name on the surface of the water, where the dusk light had always been. In the eastern tunnel, Sarah felt the warmth. She stopped writing. She put her hand on the wall, at the blue-black light in it, at the specific warmth of it. She stayed there for a long moment. Then she wrote 2 more words at the bottom of the page, below everything she had documented, below the history and the facts and the careful accounting of what had happened at Dragonstone in the 31st year since the death of Daenerys Targaryen. 2 words, in her own handwriting, she remembered. Above on the narrow sea, the light faded. The source was still. In the deep water, damaged in a way that 47 queens and distances without names had not produced, not destroyed, wounded. The specific wound of something that had been invulnerable for longer than invulnerability had been a concept, and had found in the volcanic rock of a castle built on ancient fire the first thing that had cost it something. It withdrew into the deep water, not gone, wounded, and in the deep water, in the specific patient dark of the narrow sea, it did the thing that wounded things did when they were ancient and patient, and had been doing what they did for longer than the worlds they visited had existed. It waited. On the eastern shore, Aldrich stood in the silence, the 9 soldiers around him, the castle above them, the narrow sea before them, the specific quality of the silence after, the particular quality of a world that has been through something enormous and has arrived at the specific moment where the enormous thing has passed and the ordinary thing has not yet returned. He looked at the water, at the specific color of it in the late afternoon light, the dusk color, the color that had no name. He looked at it for a long time. "Lyra," he said, quietly, to the water, to the color, to the specific warmth of it. "I know you're here." The color held. For a moment, just for a moment, the color held. And somewhere in the deep water of the narrow sea, in the dark beyond the dusk light, the source waited, wounded, patient, learning, because something that had harvested 47 queens and had been cost something for the first time in all of those queens and all of those distances did not retreat. It adapted. And in the adaptation, in the specific learning of the thing that had been invulnerable and was no longer, something changed. Something that had been a harvester became something else. Something that had come to collect began to understand what collection had cost it. Something ancient and patient and vast began to want something it had never wanted before. Not a queen, not a hive, not the harvest. What the queen had chosen over the harvest. Memory, understanding, why. And somewhere across the narrow sea, on the coast of Essos, a fisherman looked at the horizon, at the water, at the specific quality of the dark on it. He had been fishing these waters for 40 years. He had never seen the water move the way the water was moving. Not waves, not current. Something beneath the surface, something large, moving toward shore. He picked up his nets. He ran. He did not look back. He did not need to. He knew what things that moved beneath the water without making waves were. He knew because his grandmother had told him, and her grandmother had told her. And somewhere in the chain of grandmothers going back to the oldest memory available, someone had seen this before and had said, "When the water moves without waves, you run. You run and you do not stop, because what is coming beneath the water is learning, and nothing is more dangerous than the ancient thing that has just decided to understand you."